Fresh from the showcase here at Swiss Watch Expo, we're talking about a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar chronograph. Now, if that sounds like a mouthful, it's because it is, and it is an incredible amount of complications to pack into one watch. It's an interesting watch because if you think about it, if you're trying to break into the world of complication Patek Philippe watches, and who isn't? We all want a complication Patek Philippe watch. Back in, let's see, it was 1941, Patek produced the first serially produced perpetual calendar chrono. So what that means is serially produced means a watch that's an actual production watch, not a one-off, one-of-a-kind sort of watch. They did that in 1941. I mean, they were decades ahead of any other watch manufacturer at the time, and even ahead of themselves. The complication watches didn't become a massive part of their R&D or their production for many years later. That particular watch, by the way, is a reference 1518. And you can find one today on the market. The least rare version, the yellow gold one, is probably about $350,000. So it's an expensive project to try to get into that kind of watch, and tough to find one that's all original and in good condition. That one was made for 10 years. In 1951, they updated it with the reference 2499. Now that watch has achieved essentially grail status. They can range from many hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. So not a lot of us are interested in watches that would retail for in the millions. So for most people, that's not even a possibility. So enter this watch, the Patek Philippe 3970 EP. It's an unusual watch for us to have in stock here at Swiss Watch Expo. We definitely want to highlight it, but it's not so out of reach for people. It's not in the millions. It's not $500,000. The watch was made in a production run that lasted from 1986 through 2004. Now that's a pretty long run for Patek Philippe. And when you look at this watch, you'll understand why. It is beautiful. It's classic. It really is, it conjures a sense of quiet elegance when you see this watch on the wrist. It's a beautiful design. It's a platinum case with a black dial that has all the right complications in all the right places. I mean, it is really, really beautiful. So when you look at this, the heart of it is the movement, of course. It's a caliber 2770. And you might not realize it, but Patek Philippe, like all the other watch companies, for most of its history used an ébauche, which is the base movement from another company. And then they hand decorated it, finished all the surfaces, added the waves of Geneva, the Côte de Genève, and chamfered everything and polished every screw head and made it really a Patek Philippe movement. Now this one is based on the Lemania 2310. So this was the first time they had moved away from a Valjoux based movement to the Lemania movement. Now if you're a fan here at Swiss Watch Expo, you'll know that the Lemania 2310 is the same base that the Omega 321 was used for in the famous pre-Moon Speedmasters, the pre-1970 Omega Speedmaster Professionals, the Moon watch that uses that same Lemania base for the 321. So what they did was they took this base movement, the base architecture and design of the movement, they added the perpetual calendar part, the moon phases, the chronograph, everything was added to it, and it became a Patek Philippe movement. So this is one of the reasons, though, that this watch is such a bargain today, and it's to me makes it a lot more interesting. The current model of the same idea is, let me find it here, it's the reference 5270. That's the current perpetual calendar chronograph from Patek Philippe, and the retail on that one is $168,970. So this one really is a great value if you were looking at breaking into the world of complication Patek Philippe watches. When this one came out, if you think about 1986 when this came out, it was a weird time in the world of watches. The quartz crisis was seeming to pass, but it wasn't 100% over yet. People weren't really interested in complication watches yet. They weren't even really interested in chronographs. Imagine that. It was difficult as a Patek Philippe dealer to get rid of watches like this. So when they came out with this in 1986 as a perpetual calendar chronograph, it met a good bit of resistance. But when we look at the dial of the watch, just to kind of give you a tour of it, you'll see it has traditional pushers, top and bottom, to start and stop the chronograph. It has at the 3 o'clock position, you can see the counter, the watch is just beautiful. Let me show it to you a little bit here. It's 36 millimeter case, so it looks great on just about anybody. If you can imagine this, the way it would look on the wrist. It's certainly a watch that's a little bit under the radar, but is just visually striking. It does have diamond markers at the hours, which gives you just a little bit of sparkle. It's not a real blingy watch, we would call it. But when you're looking at the dial on this one, the seconds counter for the watch is at 9 o'clock, which also is the 12-hour counter for the chronograph. At 3 o'clock, you have the minutes counter for the chronograph, as well as the leap year indicator. That's what the 1, 2, 3, 4 is. And then at 6 o'clock, you have the moon phases as well as the date. And then you have separate apertures at 12 for the month and the day. So there's a lot going on the dial, but somehow it manages to not look cluttered. It's a really beautiful dial, and it is easy to read. And I think it's one of the most elegant executions of a watch that has a lot of complications on it. It's not something that looks like it's awkward or anything like that. As far as the series, there were 4 series of this watch made. This is the 4th and ultimate series. The hands had been updated to be the pointed baton hands versus the leaf hands that were used earlier. The dial is really beautiful the way it's finished. This is when they came out with the black diamond dial. You can only get it in the 4th series. The reference number for this one is 3970 EP. And we've talked about the way Patek Philippe uses their reference numbers before, so you know that the P is platinum. The E on this means étanche, which means waterproof. So this one, they had added a screw-down case back versus a snap-on case back in some of the previous series. This one, it finally became waterproof, so they put that E in there. But this does represent for you a fantastic opportunity to break into the world of super complication watches, one that was made at a time when complications weren't that popular. And so I think this is one that people ask us a lot, Michael, what do you think is going to be a watch that'll really gain in value? What would be a good investment right now? And I always say that it's the watches that have something really interesting about them, had limited production, and yet are a little bit under the radar right now. Over the entire run of this watch, from 1986 to 2004, there were only 2,000 watches made across all 4 metals. And so, of course, the platinum is going to be the most rare. I'm not sure how many of those 2,000 were made in platinum, but it couldn't be more than a couple of hundred that were made over the entire run. So when we're looking at the one in the 4th series, this particular dial, this condition, it's just been fully serviced by our Patek trained master watchmaker. It's going to be reliable for many years of trouble-free operation. And you can click on it at Swiss Watch Expo. See if we still have it in stock. Give us a call. Click the bells, like and subscribe the videos. And we would love to talk to you further about this watch. Tell us what you think about it in the comments.